Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Donovan, and tonight I want to talk about what it's like to game on a super budget-friendly device like this one from Umidigi. This is the Umidigi A3 Pro. Now, before we get into what it's like to game on this phone and actually show you some of my gaming experience on this device, I want to mention a couple of things. Number one is the specs. So in terms of specs on this phone, we're looking at a MediaTek 6739 processor. That is a quad-core processor clocked at 1.5 gigahertz, 3 gigs of RAM, and 32 gigs of internal storage backing up that processor. So with that being said, this is a very budget-friendly device. It's available right now on Amazon.com, as you can see right here, for $100. So super budget-friendly. So at $100, can you get a phone worthy of your gaming experience? Well, check out my experience and let me know what you think at the end of the video.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start off this test with a very basic game on the Umidigi A3 Pro. This is called Lego Mighty Micros. It's a DC comic game where you act as either a villain or a hero, and you're going up against the opposite. So this is a very basic game. It doesn't involve a whole lot of graphics, and the gameplay is very, very simple. It's actually one of my 7-year-old son's favorite games to play, and we're just going to go ahead and demonstrate it real quick. Now, just bear in mind that I'm pretty much an amateur at just about every game we're going to be looking at today, so no judgment zone here. But basically you can see that the gameplay is you have this simple wheel, and you're just driving through a very basically graphic town, and as you're driving through it, you're just trying to beat the person on the opposite. So I'm a villain here, and I'm trying to beat the hero, and yeah, it's kind of like a very basic game of like Mario Kart, because eventually I will be able to like throw some dynamite at him. But yeah, so you can see he just passed me. But overall gameplay on the phone is absolutely smooth. No issues with it whatsoever. This game loaded up pretty quickly, and gameplay on it so far going without any kind of hiccups. So we're going to go ahead and move on to a little bit more graphic intensive game. Not a whole lot, but we're just going to step it up a little bit, and here we go. Alright, so this next game that we're going to take a look at is called Star Wars for Serena. Now, this is a game that I've played a ton. Both my son and I love playing this game. Again, my 7-year-old son. Lots of fun. If you've never played it before, definitely one I recommend. So this is basically a defense game where you are attacking one other person. I'm playing the online version of the game. You can also play an offline version against the CPU, but the online version is a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and test this one out. So it's adding an element. So it's not a real graphic intensive game, but what it's adding to the gameplay in this case is we're adding kind of that, not only are we trying to run graphics, but we're also trying to run LTE at the same time, because of course to play the game you have to have LTE because you're playing it live against another person. So one of the things I noticed after playing this game for a little while on the Umidigi A3 Pro is the fact that the gameplay isn't hindered at all by the fact that the phone is a cheaper phone, but the graphics I have noticed from time to time do have some hiccups. You definitely get a few frame rate drops, but overall gameplay on this phone really is still pretty smooth. It's really not bad at all. I didn't have any issues where I felt like the phone was holding me back from really playing the game at all. So I definitely wouldn't say it's the best experience for Star Wars for Serena, but still it does just fine in handling this game overall. Alright, so now we're going to do a little throwback. This is definitely one of my favorite time-wasting games overall. It's NBA Jam, and yes, this isn't really a hugely graphic-intensive game. It's one I have a whole lot of fun playing, though. And so one of the things I've noticed is that after playing a couple of games on the Umidigi A3 Pro is that this phone really doesn't have any issues running NBA Jam. Again, this is a game that you can play online. You can actually play with somebody live, but I'm pretty much at this point only playing against the CPU, and when you're playing against the CPU, this has no problems running this game at all. So I really didn't feel any kind of hindrances, not even really frame rate drops at all like I experienced with Star Wars for Serena. So overall gameplay with NBA Jam, the Umidigi A3 Pro handles it just fine. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and test out a very popular game, Subway Surfer, on the Umidigi A3 Pro, and this is definitely a game I'm a bit of a novice at, as you can see right there from me just crashing into that. But overall, after playing with it for some time, I can say that both myself and my son, we played it for a little while once I realized how addictive this game is. It reminds me a lot of Temple Run, if you've played that game before, with a little bit more twist into it than what you get on Temple Run. But this is definitely a game that you can play with no problem whatsoever on the A3 Pro. So far, in just the little bit I've played on the A3 Pro, I've had absolutely no issues. Graphics run just fine. The gameplay isn't hindered at all by the fact that this is a budget-friendly device. So if you're someone who likes to play Subway Surfer, and hopefully you're a little bit better at it than I am, then you will have no problem playing this game on the A3 Pro. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of gameplay of PUBG on the A3 Pro. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this right off the bat. I am very much a novice at playing this game, as you will see very, very quickly. And playing this game on the A3 Pro, while not only am I a novice at this game, in fact, I'm not even novice, I'm very much a rookie at playing this game. But playing with it on the A3 Pro definitely made it even more difficult. So the A3 Pro, I will say, when you're trying to play a game like PUBG, it was definitely a little bit frustrating simply because it didn't respond in the way you might expect from a more expensive phone. Obviously, more expensive phones can run this game just fine, but playing gameplay on this phone, I found that number one, it was a little bit choppy. As you can see, some of my movements just are very choppy. I obviously suck at the game really badly, but then not only do I suck, but playing with it on this phone, as you can see, the movements are quite choppy. As I'm trying to swipe up and down on the screen, it's just not moving right where I'm trying to make it move, and I'm getting shot at a lot here, and eventually I do end up, you know, killing one of these guys, I think. But overall, playing PUBG on the Umidigi A3 Pro, while it can be done, it's very slow, and it isn't the best gameplay experience. So you can definitely do it. There's no question there, but it's definitely not going to be the best experience you can get on this game. So what I've found overall is that in general, the Umidigi A3 Pro can handle most things until you get into some real high graphic intensive games and games that involve a lot of online play. That's where I've found that it does stutter just a little bit. But overall, for $100, I think you're going to be very happy with the overall gaming experience on the Umidigi A3 Pro. I hope this review has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching, and full review for this phone coming up very soon. Stay tuned, and we'll see you all in the next video. Peace.